we met already.
Outside the Italian restaurant. I don't know what Serene told you, but like I can talk about literally everything. The government gave like a £3 million grant to the university saying we want to start scholarships in the name of Mrs. Indira Gandhi.
What year was this?
2013. So you'd know.
Right before.
Yeah.
My father works in the Indira Gandhi National Open University.
Achha, okay, nice.
I'm just waiting for it to change its name.
UCL is like randomly spread all over.
One building, फिर किसी का घर है. One of my friends say कि when you come to university, you're placed right in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
तो देखो ये सब तुम्हें मिल सकता है. उसके बाद जैसे ही खत्म होता है accommodation से निकालते हैं बोलते
हैं. Yeah, and then it's thrown out and you have to go like some north or some south.
I didn't have anywhere to be. तो मैं सोचा मैं क्या करूँ यहाँ पे लंदन में भी अगर मैं रेंट पे लेके रहता हूँ तो उतने पैसे लगेंगे. So I went to Paris.
The whole psyche of people from Mumbai or like around Mumbai is that you don't leave the city. Right. They live in a bubble, like, you know, they feel everything's here and people are coming here. So why do you want to? Hindi is very crude. Yeah, like it's Mumbai Hindi, which is very crass. And I didn't realize it until I went there and started speaking to all these people from North India. And they were just like, "Tum aise mat baat karo." What the fuck is tum?
Eat food, they'd say, "Tera kha ke ho gaya." And I was like, what does that mean? The conflicts that I've had is ki the learnings that I've come with, I want to apply those for my country. मुझे लगता है कि यार मैं यहाँ पे इनकी सरकार के लिए काम कर रहा हूँ. At some point, I do want to make that infrastructure.
All the best. That's all I'd say. I would have actually preferred studying in Delhi. It's just like I couldn't get through JNU.
SOAS, which is the JNU of the UK.
I mean, yes. If you quote me on this now, like if this ever goes online, I'll be bashed by SOAS graduates.
In 2014, I helped manage a campaign for the BJP. And it was such a crazy election.
Very intense experience. Everything that I had only read in books happened in front of me. You know, the violence, the tension, you're exposed to but I enjoyed it. I don't know. My parents called me sadistic for this, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the risk, actual violence that takes place, the attacks, arson, just things that if I say out loud in public, probably nobody would believe. I'm still sort of struggling to unlearn things that I've learned all my life and then relearn stuff. Reels. Oh no, it's such a soft boy core thing that I'm trying. But you know how you try to be mysterious, but you're not. Like, that's my vibe at this point.
Would you choose Thackeray or Modi as your president?
Oh my God, what is this line of question? I remember I got this one Instagram DM from a college friend, and they said the 2019 Neeraj would come and slap you. I do miss my parents, like living with my parents, but it's a very momentary thing. I don't know whether it happens to you, but I think there's a expiration period of say 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later, even they are like, what are you doing? It's called once a week, but that once a week is a long call. And
which is what I like.
4 hours.
Wow, 4 hours.
I recorded a podcast last year with this other collective in Mumbai, and she listened to it. It was a very long podcast. She listened to all of it, and she made notes, and then she criticized me about I'm very sure like if you put it out online, she's going to listen to it. Yeah, they put in the time.
So. I look forward to her comment. Thank you so much, Neeraj, for doing this. So I'll tell you a little bit about the podcast. So it's called Paani with People. The idea is to just have regular, casual conversations with people. It started with the idea of talking to people as if they were celebrities and how people generally talk to celebrities on podcasts. But मुझे लगा कि it was copying something else. And I just like having conversations with people. And the agenda of this podcast is just to be able to do that. For me to meet new people. And I genuinely believe that all of their stories are the most important stories, of course, for them, but also for other people. Like they could be the most important stories. If you end up becoming the prime minister, then this story would would be important for everyone else. But regardless of that, it stays important for you anyway. And that is what I want to explore. Just understand what makes you you. What are your priorities, your values, your beliefs, your fears, and just have a casual conversation. The format is that the person I talk to before you recommends the person. So I talked to Serene, and she told me you're a great person to talk to, and we'd make a wonderful conversation. And it's such a coincidence that we've met already. And I don't remember if we talked then.
I think we just said hi and like we introduced ourselves. But
we were probably very drunk to
huge group of people.
I remember singing.
Outside the Italian restaurant. That's all I remember too. That's all I remember, honestly.
And after that, we're all so drunk. We walked to South Bank, and
and we walked with you guys halfway, and then we went home, and then you all went to South Bank.
A small world.
Small world.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about Serene? How do you know her? How you met?
Okay. About Serene, that's actually quite a coincidence because Serene's partner Manzar and I were shortlisted for the Evening Scholarship. So we were preparing together in 2021, And Saireen was already in Oxford. She was doing her master's in public policy.
Right.
And she had separately reached out to me on LinkedIn because her project was in food security, and I was working in this organization where we used to tackle hunger, and we were looking at hunger as a policy problem. So she reached out and we had a conversation about food security and stuff separately. Later, I found out she's Manzar's partner, and Manzar was also preparing to come to the UK. And he had gotten into like LSE, Oxford, and all of these places. I met her only after I came here, like 4 months after I landed. So October I came, and February I visited Manzar, which is when I met her for the first time. And yeah, I mean, there was that instant connection in the sense that she's always been a very hospitable person at Oxford. So, and I loved the city. So I used to visit quite often, at least like once a month was my visit here. And I used to be with Manzar and Saireen. So I used to stay with them. And they were such like both of them were very hospitable. They used to they kept their doors open. Of course, like if I have to be a bit more philosophical, that they kept their hearts open and always accommodated us every month. It was me and like my friend Sanjana, or sometimes just me. So, and they were very supportive. And then when I applied for jobs, they had suggested that I apply to one of these positions here in Oxford, and I got through. So I moved to Oxford, and of course they were a very important reason why I moved here, because I knew there was a support system in place. And when I moved here, of course, Manzar's term had ended, so he had to go back. And that's when like I started getting like closer with Saireen. Like I used to hang out with her. Both of us used to work. Everyone else in our circle was students. So, that was easier for us to hang out and, do things together. Weekends were open. So, yeah, I mean, that's how I met. And it's been like more than a year now, like when we, spent time and like got to know each other. Yeah. So, and she's always been like that elder sister kind of a figure. I don't like to mirror these kin relations on friendships, but with Saireen, it's been like, she's like that matured voice for like a lot of us, where we are very chaotic and very like yappers, as I said on our text. But she's always been like that, matured presence. Again, I don't want to make it sound like an ageist thing, but she's like, she has an experience of dealing with things much longer than us. So, so that's been my connection with Saireen, individually.
Yeah, no, Saireen, that was the first time that I talked to her on the podcast. Like before that, we just had a call. But I got to Saireen through Manzar. So Manzar was, so I had talked to Manzar, and before that, I don't know if you know Kanika, but Kanika was the first guest that I reached.
I know of Kanika, I've never met Kanika. Yeah.
Right. So you're officially the fourth person to be here.
Okay, that's
I
nice.
haven't put any of these online yet because I'm terrible with managing my time. So I want to have some buffer before I start putting them out. But hopefully soon.
Yeah.
So what is this conference that you're supposed to go to today?
This is a workshop on this. I mean, Manzar and Saireen both are part of this collective called Project Edu Access. I'm sure you would have heard of them. So they are conducting like a long half-day workshop on what are the things we could lobby for better. What are the learnings that they have had in the past 2 years. And I work at the Oxford India Center, and we provide scholarships to Indian students. So we are also trying to diversify things. And as someone who has been through the system as a student and someone who works with an entity that provides scholarships, we'd also benefit from those findings. So we'd like to know what are the things that students require, if they're coming from like certain marginalized communities, and what is the support system that we need to build for them once they are here. So that's the kind of learning that I'm hoping to get out of the workshop. And it's like we have a bunch of students, that around 50 people who are coming in from different parts of the UK. Nice. So we're just going to have I think there are multiple sessions, and I'm going to try and contribute my learnings from the India Center and see how things work, which is also which is something I would love to discuss today. Like really root our conversation into something. And I also don't want to go in like 100 different directions because I don't know what Saireen told you, but like I can talk about literally everything.
That's okay. That's excellent. Because I'm mostly a listener, so I love asking questions and then listening what you say.
Please.
But why don't you tell me a little bit about your work with Oxford India? What is it that you do?
So basically, I joined the center. I joined this Oxford India Center just 11 months back, but the center in itself is 11 years old. And it was like a partnership between the University of Oxford and the Government of India. And in 2013, basically, the government gave like a £3 million grant to the university, saying we want to start scholarships in the name of Mrs. Indira Gandhi at Somerville College, which is one of the colleges in Oxford.
When was that?
And sorry,
what year was this?
2013. So you'd know.
Right before.
Yeah. So this is politically you'll realize, and at the time it was founded and the scholarships were endowed. So Government of India gave some money, University of Oxford matched that funding, and basically we started these scholarships in her name, which Somerville College. Somerville was chosen because that's where Mrs. Gandhi studied, and Somerville just made a bigger thing out of it, and they just established a center. So it was earlier called the Indira Gandhi Center for a brief period of like some few months, but then we changed it to more neutral Oxford India Center for Sustainable Development.
Okay.
Ideally, because Indira Gandhi was the first leader globally to speak about sustainability on international forums. So she's the one who delivered the speech in 1972. I'm not very sure of the place, but I think it was Stockholm. But that's where she delivered the speech and, encouraged people to think about climate change and sustainability. So she became like that voice for, global voice for sustainability. So we named the center and we run the scholarship in her name. And over time, we have had support from like friends of the center. So there are lawyers who have started scholarships. We run this scholarship called the Cornelia Sorabji Scholarship. Again, the first woman to ever study law in Oxford was an Indian woman who came from Pune. So we started a scholarship in her name. And last year, historically, we started the Savitribai Phule Scholarship, which is like the first scholarship for a student coming from a marginalized background in India. So if you're an SC, ST, OBC student or a first generation learner, you're eligible for the scholarship. So over time, like now we have set up newer scholarships. We are giving at least 10 now. This year we're giving 10. Last year we gave 10. This became like a bigger thing then. Yeah.
So the original scholarship is still named after Indira Gandhi?
It's still there. So we give the Indira Gandhi Scholarship for a PhD student. So it's either one or two.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, they know. But they can't really because it's endowed, right? So endowed scholarships are better. So government doesn't send money, of course, because they've endowed that bigger chunk now. We run the scholarships on the interest that we get. So it's there for eternity. And they really can't do anything about it, I want to say. But yeah.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah, I mean, also because like they can't really refute it because Mrs. Gandhi studied here. So it's not like randomly a scholarship was instituted in her name. She personally studied here as an undergrad. So I mean, she has ties with Oxford in direct capacity. So I mean, they have stopped certain scholarships, as you know, in India, but there is no rationale to stop it. So that's been the case.
My father works in the Indira Gandhi National Open University.
Acha, okay, nice.
I'm just waiting for it to change its name. It's been a while.
I don't think they do that because it's very counterproductive. What are you going to achieve by doing this?
It's the world's largest university.
Yeah, and it's an open university. It provides support to so many. It's not even about the name at this point. It's about what the institution does. It supports so many students who otherwise can't go to classes and stuff. So I've noticed so many people who want to pursue education but were not able to when they were younger have now been able to do it because of IGNOU. So I went for a conference there in 2017, I remember. And that was the first time I was exposed to what IGNOU is. Because we are so used to like the traditional institutions, like where you come as a day scholar or you come as a hostel student. Yeah. But like IGNOU is a space where people are working and then attending classes and doing so much in life and then doing classes. So it was almost inspiring. And it's quite an international university. I mean, when I went for the conference, there were presenters from like Afghanistan and Iran and all of these places who came to present. So it was quite nice to see that.
I started a master's degree in psychology from IGNOU back in 2019, which I'm still in the second year of.
Okay. What did you study here? You were at, I think, Imperial, was it?
I was at UCL.
UCL, sorry.
I studied in MPA.
Okay, public administration.
Yeah, in innovation and public policy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
so I'm still a second year student of psychology. The course is excellent. I loved the kind of approach that they took towards changing how the public sector works in terms of making it more entrepreneurial than just market fixing.
Where was your campus? The main campus?
Yeah, so our department was just beside the British Museum.
Okay.
But UCL has just one.
Yeah, UCL is like randomly spread all over the SOAS. It was just like right mein dekho there's UCL, left mein dekho there was UCL.
It's just one building. Fir kisi ka ghar hai.
there was this random building where I lived. I lived on that Caledonian Road, and from King's Cross when you go up, and suddenly your EduRoam connects, and you realize there's an Institute of Physics of UCL right like in the middle of nowhere. You're like, why is your So yeah, I had that experience with UCL. I feel it's a very underrated place.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't seen many campuses. Like LSE also is.
You can't.
Yeah, there's a central building, and then there's just a city.
Yeah, and UCL I heard has started a newer campus right outside of London
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's closer to West Ham, I think.
Oh, acha,
There's
okay.
there's
Yeah, makes
one
sense.
a few
It makes
departments
sense
there.
to be honest. Sabko, like if you crowd everyone in central London, it's just going to be difficult to work.
A
So I
lot of
think
my
UCL
friends
is
say
sorry.
a lot of my friends say कि when you come to university, you're placed right in the heart of the city. कि
Yeah.
सोच देखो ये सब तुम्हें मिल सकता है. उसके बाद जैसे ही खत्म होता है accommodation से निकालते हैं बोलते हैं
Yeah,
निकलो
and then
यहाँ
you just
से.
basically get thrown out, then you have to go
हाँ,
like some north or some south, and then Brixton में जाओ or Finsbury के beyond जाओ. So
yeah, and
it's
then for 1 year you used to that center
yeah,
कि
yeah.
हाँ, सब कुछ is.
But you were in YMCA, were you?
Yeah, I was at YMCA for the first 6 months or so, and then I was just roaming around for the next six.
What do you mean?
So I had the option of choosing a placement project instead of a dissertation.
Acha,
So
okay.
that was in Barcelona. So which is why I didn't
Wow.
need to be in London for a while. So after March, I went back to India for a month. Then I came back. I stayed with a few friends for a week or so. Then I went to Barcelona. Came back. Then went to Barcelona again. Then I didn't have anywhere to be. तो मैं सोचा अब मैं क्या करूँ यहाँ पे लंदन में भी अगर मैं रेंट पे लेके रहता हूँ तो उतने पैसे लगेंगे. So I went to Paris.
What?
Because I had my visa anyway. मैं
Yeah.
सोचा ठीक है अभी है तो घूम लेता हूँ. So then I went to Paris, Geneva, a couple of other places.
Okay.
So yeah, the other 6 months were mostly just crashing at friends' places and roaming
Wow.
around. So yeah. How
And
about
now you
SOAS?
work in London?
Yeah, I work in London. I just moved houses, so I'm right opposite to Caledonian Road. on Holloway Road now.
Oh wow. Acha, okay, okay. I know the space. I like that
But
space. I
yeah,
like that
but
area.
हाँ अभी but इससे पहले I was staying in Hounslow. Hounslow
Oh,
is the desiest it can
oh
be. It's
God.
it's too
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. It's like you've never left India.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Delhi? Or like you grew up?
Lots of different places. As I said, my dad's in a government job, so he
Mhm.
kept shifting places. But majority of it was in Delhi.
Acha.
So yeah, my later years of school, my college work has
Okay.
been in Delhi.
But were you born in Delhi?
I was born in Jaipur.
Acha. Makes sense. Nice.
How about you?
I grew up in Thane, which is near Mumbai, and
Yeah.
my family's been there for like I think generation at this point. So I've not really moved. Like I never moved from there until my undergrad, and for my undergrad I went to Shivnagar, which is near Delhi. I don't want to say Delhi.
Srinath is Gurgaon, no?
NCR, but it's in Greater Noida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I did my undergrad, and the only reason I went there was because I got a scholarship. So I was there for 4 years, and then I came back to India. I came back to Mumbai and worked there during the pandemic. So I was working for the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly elections in 2019. I was posted in this place called Ahmednagar in Maharashtra, which is like a small district. Small district just in terms of development. It's the largest district to be honest. But then pandemic, I was in Mumbai. I got through SOAS and UCL and all these places at the time, but pandemic I didn't take the risk of coming. So I deferred my offer. And SOAS was the only kindest institution to offer me a deferral, and then I came in 2021. So I've been for 4 years of my undergrad, and I think that was quite revolutionary to move out because nobody, like the whole psyche of people from Mumbai or like around Mumbai is that you don't leave the city.
Right.
They live in a bubble, they feel everything's here and people are coming here. So why do you want to? Yeah. But I think that was a good decision to not be in that space. Today, if you ask me to go back and work in Mumbai, I can't. I just can't work.
And at home, do you speak Marathi?
I speak Marathi, yes.
Was language a challenge when you moved to Delhi?
No, actually, it was a challenge in a very different way because my Hindi was terrible. And we speak Hindi. It's not like I don't understand or speak Hindi. It's just our Hindi is very crude.
Yeah.
Like it's Bombaya Hindi, which is very crass. And I didn't realize it until I went there and started speaking to all these people from North India. And they were just like, "Tum aise mat baat karo." And what the fuck is tum? I'm sorry, I'm swearing, but like,
that's
what is tum? Like, because I was so used to the Tera Mera language, and that was apparently like really rude for them. And I had this friend from Kanpur who said it's like one of the harshest tones that they've ever heard of Hindi. And a Bombaya Hindi is not Hindi. It's basically Gujarati, Marathi, and Hindi, like a mixture of all of those. And plus, you add English sometimes. So they didn't understand. So that language barrier was a challenge. But otherwise, these were residential universities, right? So like these are newer residential universities. So the population there was also quite diverse. So we had equal number of North Indians and South Indians, and we were just in the middle. And there were people from the Northeast, and there was a good cohort of people. So yeah, I had a nice time.
I have a couple of friends from Mumbai who I met actually I was never friends with Marathi people before this. So when I
Okay.
came here, and I would eat food, they'd say "Tera kha ke ho gaya," and that
Yeah.
felt so normal to them. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Hathi ho gaya, huh? Like I had this feeling when I use the word gardi with so much confidence in people. People are like, what is gardi? And until imagine 21 years of my life, I didn't know that gardi is not a Hindi word. It's a Marathi word just put into like Hindi. Gardi means crowd. So
Right.
idhar itna gardi, itna bheed hai basically. I didn't know, I knew the word bheed, but I didn't use the word bheed so commonly in languages. So when
Yeah.
I said gardi, and like, lift full of people were like, what is that word? Like, so, yeah.
Actually, garda in Bhojpuri means dirt.
Oh
Or
my God, this is going in a different direction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very. I don't know where. I mean, it's not just dirt. It's ghoul. Hai.
Dhool. Okay,
Uh,
got it. Got it.
so maybe it comes from crowd. I don't know.
No idea, no idea. I mean, that's the thing, right? And then a lot of these words are like, in a way, bastardized. Like they are like even in like people who speak proper Marathi, which is very like a very like I would say a very caste specific term, but generally upper caste groups speak like this proper pure Marathi as they call it, and even they can't handle like people from Pune and all them. I mean, they're quite snobbish, I'd say, but they think the Marathi that we speak is quite like crude and crass and influenced by Hindi and Gujarati. So the tone is very Gujarati, but the words that we use are very Hindi, English,
Right.
Marathi. So it's very, it's a weird set of like a culture. There is a culture shock when you move to Mumbai, and if you've grown up, especially in places like say Jaipur or Kanpur or Lucknow, where you speak with so much respect and and then
Yeah.
suddenly someone's treating you like you're nobody. It's just weird. I feel. Yeah.
What's it like growing up in Thane? What's that like?
It's very nice actually. So that's the thing, right? I mean, you grow up and you don't really think it's a problem. Like you don't see yourself as a part of Mumbai. But Mumbai is where you go for like. I mean, it's literally next to each other. Like there is no boundary between the two. And it's only when like growing up, I realized there's this whole culture of like, oh, Mumbai and Thane are separate cities, or Mumbai and Thane is the same, and Thane is a gaon and extension and this and that. Whereas historically, then I started reading about stuff and I realized, oh, it's basically two different cities. But people know Thane as the first railway that started between Mumbai, Asia's first railway that started between Mumbai and Thane in
Oh,
1883. So that's how people know Thane. I have always been of the opinion that Thane is a separate city. It's historically like way more different than Mumbai. Mumbai is a reclaimed city, right? It is an artificial built out of like reclamation and stuff. Whereas Thane has this longer history of people staying there and kingdoms and this and that. It was very nice, to be honest. Like I grew up in old city, old Thane, and it was a Portuguese territory which was handed over to the British. So I studied in a missionary school started by the Portuguese, which had a very inclusive culture. I feel so. I grew up in like the old Thane in a very mixed neighborhood. So most of my neighbors were, I mean, there were Marathi, of course, Marathi population, majority Marathi population, but we also had a good number of Christians and especially Malayali Christians and Mangalore Christians. So in a very mixed neighborhood. Our classmates were also like we had classmates who practiced, of course, Islam, but also like Judaism and Parsis. Small sets, but we had been exposed to a larger like diversity. So it was, I feel, in a very cosmopolitan experience, but at the same time rooted quite in culture. So it's not as cosmopolitan as Mumbai,
mhm.
but it's there. Like it's almost there. It's just that Thane, because it has a longer history of cultural stuff, we were rooted in some Marathi culture, but that Marathi culture in general was also mixed. It was an inclusive Marathi culture, I'd say, to some extent. But then I have to acknowledge my positionality. I come from a privileged background, so may perspectives might be different. But I had a very nice time growing up. I still am very fond of the city. Whenever I go back, I mean, there's a sense of home that I get. I wouldn't call it Mumbai because Mumbai is just chaotic. Thane is not become chaotic now, but it's always been, for me, it's always been like a very peaceful, homely city. My family is there. My mother grew up, my parents also grew up in the same place. So, you know, relatives are all there.
Right. And would you say you'd want to go back at some point, or do you want to stay in the UK?
Good question. When I came here, I had this whole idea of moving back, and I do want to in the long term. Like, I don't know what your experience is, but I don't particularly see a future in this country. Especially with the kind of, there's no community care, or, all of the support system that you need is not here. Um, in terms of family, and like I have friends and stuff, that's great. But that was my perspective when I was studying at SOAS. But now I feel like after 2.5 years, I feel it's not so easy to take that call because you're building your life. And I'm queer as a person. Like in terms of my identity, I feel I can't even compromise that because I know I won't have the same privilege back home. I mean, the security that you have here, the safety net that you have here, the protection or the community that I've built is also quite nice here. So it might not be the same back home. So work-wise, I've settled here, and you work here. You know how strict this place is about work ethics, and you know how horrible India is in terms of work ethics. So yeah, maybe I'll retire and go back, but I don't know. Right now,
At some point, you'll go back.
I can't take a call right now. And also, like, I work in policy, and like I have to work with bureaucrats and politicians. So, right now it's not very conducive to be there for someone like us. Like, I don't know about you, but like for me, I don't think so. It's a space to like I can't work there effectively.
Fair enough. So with Oxford India, you said you work around. So your work is still around India, right?
It's literally on India. So this is an ideal job, I would say, touch wood. It's because I get to work on India, but not in India.
Right.
So while I work, like our work is basically one to like promote research on India in Oxford. So there are so many people working on India in different aspects. We just try to bring them together. Of course, we have our own set of scholars, but we also try to work with other, people, other Indians who are working on India, bring them together. Second, and we also do policy-oriented work. So if their work is going to impact India's policy space, we try to make those connections. So if we know organizations in India who work on certain things, and if they are going to benefit from some research that's done here, we connect them with that organization. That's something that we do. And of course, we provide scholarships to Indian students. So we try to bring, Oxford's one of the most expensive in the UK, and people get offers, but they have to leave those offers because they have no funding. So we try and mobilize funding for Indian students. Like so far, we have done a great, I feel the teams, it's not a big team. It's basically, there were 3 directors and there's just me as a full-time employee. So it's, there's autonomy. There's also you get to do things your way and work with different kinds of people who have aspirations to support as well. Sometimes you need vision to set up scholarships, to work with students. I get to do that. And I think that's been that's why it became a very good opportunity. So
that sounds excellent. And so one of the conflicts that I've had is the learnings that I've come with, I want to apply those for my country.
Absolutely.
Or for the good of what I know my identity is a majority part of. और वही मुझे लगता है कि यार मैं यहाँ पे इनकी सरकार के लिए काम कर रहा हूँ. वही काम मैं इंडिया
में. Are you in the civil services?
I work with the NHS.
Okay.
So it's still it is government funded work.
Yeah, of course, yeah. NHS is expensive.
और मुझे लगता है कि यार यही चीज मैं इंडिया में करना चाहता हूँ, पर वो स्ट्रक्चर, वो कैपेसिटी है ही नहीं.
इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है. Right.
So at some point I do want to make that infrastructure, but it just sounds
all the best. That's all I say.
It's a long way.
We need that in India, but it's so difficult right now, or in general, to work there. It's not like we can pretend that things were always better, but right now, there is no appetite for people with aspirations to go back and start something like this and not expect a backlash, from the machinery in some way.
Yeah, there's still some work happening in silos, but hopefully it'll improve and there'll be more good coming out of it. But in college, you studied conflict and peace studies?
At undergrad, I did sociology and I did a minor in international relations. For postgrad, I studied politics of conflict, rights and justice, which was slightly different than international politics at SOAS because you focused on peace building and you focused there was hyper focus on things like, conflict resolution, and the cohort was slightly different, smaller cohort, much more focused cohort. Not I actually didn't, there were only 3 of us who were from India. So it was also very different because SOAS has a good Indian representation. So in that way, it was a very nice, different thing that we probably wouldn't study in India. I don't know. After I came here, I realized that there were there's a Aung San Suu Kyi and Center for Peace Studies at LSR.
Yeah.
I think they call themselves that anymore, but whatever. That Center for Peace Studies exists in Delhi. But, I don't think Mumbai has any of those things, or any other university has a course that offers something on peace.
There's a course in Jamia on conflict and peace building.
Again, Delhi, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to study something like that, you have to move to Delhi and be around Delhi. I would have actually preferred studying in Delhi. It's just like I couldn't get through JNU. So I
So you
lost
got
it.
into SOAS, which is the JNU of the UK.
I mean, yes.
That's what my
It is
perception has
Europe,
been.
Yeah.
Because the first time I walked into SOAS, accidentally, of course, because I was trying to find the Senate House,
Okay.
and it's right next to UCL. I walked into SOAS, and it really gave me very JNU vibes.
Yeah.
JNU or maybe more TIS, but it maybe a mix of those.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that at all in UCL or LSE. Like protests, just people.
Yeah, it was a normal.
For a
It
cause.
was after a point, it was a headache, but we still supported it, and we still do support it. I actually went to SOAS. I had offers from UCL, LSE, and all of these places. It's just I went to SOAS because my professor in undergrad had always told me that you'd fit in at SOAS, and I never understood why they said it because not like I was a mischief maker or like a person who was. I was never into activism. So I don't know why they said it, but they always thought my research has a better space in SOAS. And I do think that was a very good suggestion. I had a very nice time there. I am very critical of SOAS too as an institution, but my department, I think you're right in the sense that it's a very politically conscious space. So, you can say stuff, whatever stuff you want. There's sort of that freedom of speech, but at the same time, you can be held accountable, which like if you quote me on this now, like if this ever goes online, I'll be bashed by SOAS graduates because there is this whole student movement against our director, and as an institution, that space really needs to work on itself. But I personally am very fond of the department that I studied in. So yeah, I was quite happy with my experience.
Right. And how did you fall into conflict as a area of study?
No, I mean, my work was actually on policy. So I used to study in my undergrad. My undergrad was 4 years. So our BA was structured differently. So we did 4 years of BA instead of 3 years. It was 3 years of coursework, and fourth year was basically a dissertation. So we had to work on an undergrad dissertation, which was not something we were used to. I don't think undergrads are exposed to that in India.
Yeah.
But I did like a very preliminary field work for 2 months, and learned all these methods in undergrad, and worked on like right-wing political outfits. So I was looking at Shiv Sena at the time, and I studied conservative political ideology to understand how do they function and what do they want. So I was positioned in a better way because again I come from a privileged background. I'm an upper caste Hindu man. I had access to these spaces without compromising myself. So I could enter these spaces, talk to them, have a conversation, understand what they wanted. So I worked on that, and then I wanted to look at a larger picture, larger scheme of things. I wanted to look at social justice, and my program was called Conflict, Rights and Justice. So while there was conflict and peace building, there was also like human rights and social justice as part of the theme. So I chose that, and because the professor I really wanted to work with was at SOAS. His name was Professor Rahul Rao. He left actually the year I joined.
Oh no!
But yeah, don't ask. But I really wanted to work with him and understand, how does access work and how does social justice, social justice a phenomenon works. But then I ended up working with Rochna Bajpai, again a very brilliant professor. I never thought I'd work with her because she was senior to Rahul in a lot of ways, but I got to work with her, and product of JNU, of course. So JNU and Oxford. So she sort of inspired me to work on policy. And slowly, at SOAS, I wanted to shift to policy making. And I ended up working on a dissertation that looked at how Hindu nationalist ideology translates in social policy. 10 saal se hearing things like, 60 years and nothing happened. We will bring in an Indic perspective or whatever. So I was just trying to look at what is this narrative about. So I started looking at what is this Indic perspective, what is Hindu nationalist ideas. Yeah, so I ended up I ended up going in that direction. I wanted to shift to policy, which is what I did through the program, I think.
That sounds great. So you also worked in the Indian elections. What was that? Did you work with a party or did you work with the...
No, I was working with a political consulting firm. So it was not IPAC. I worked with a smaller firm in Maharashtra, and they work with candidates, not political parties. So we had but again, they work with candidates from a certain political ideological base. And I worked with this candidate in Ahmednagar. He's quite well known now, but he was just beginning his first campaign. His name was Rohit Pawar. He's Sharad Pawar's great grandnephew or grandnephew basically. And then he's in that family. So he came from a very elite political family, but he was contesting from this really challenging seat where BJP was in power for the past 30 years or so. So I was on the field and I was posted in Ahmednagar. Very intense experience. Everything that I had only read in books happened in front of me. The violence, the tension, you're exposed to but I enjoyed it. I don't know. My parents call me sadistic for this, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the risk taking. That's like one of the most riskiest thing I think I've done in my life. And I had a very nice experience. I think someday I'll write about it, but yeah, I had a very intense first-hand experience working with the team.
Which year was this?
This is 2019. It was for the Vidhan Sabha election.
Right.
For the state assembly elections. Now we have it in this September again, but it was in September at the time. So I was there I think I joined in July, and then until like November I was there. So I was on field.
And so did your political ideology align with that of the candidate?
It did. But again, Maharashtra is also quite diverse. So I came from a very urban background. And of course, I believed in the liberal idea, progressive ideas. And this party is known to be liberal and socialist in its working, but mostly in rural areas. So, but again, urban rural there's a big gap, right? And I was posted in a rural area. So this was the first time I was exposed to rural politics and, how rural political ecosystem works, which is very different because I've noticed for my fieldwork and stuff, I used to work in Mumbai. So I did see how Shiv Sena as an organization functions in a cosmopolitan city like Mumbai. But then I was in a space which is slightly more homogenous, right? It's the people from same caste community live together, or people from the same community or same religion live together. It's very different. The political nature, the discussions that happen are very different. How you approach the problem is very different.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very good experience for me. I did align largely with what the party stands for, what the candidate stands for. But then nothing's changed after elections and stuff. So might not be the same later.
In 2014, I helped manage a campaign for the BJP with the elections. And this was in North Delhi University campus, the candidate from there. And it was such a crazy election. That was when everything was changing. And I knew nothing. I was I think in my second year of college, मेरा एक दोस्त है who's politically connected. He asked me to come help manage it. And I was there. I had no idea क्या politics, क्या ideology है उनकी. Obviously, my parents voted for BJP since childhood, so I knew कि अच्छा BJP is the party to vote for, और Congress तो पैसा खाती है. That was the only bit of politics that I knew. And then now I look back, and that candidate lost, incidentally.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was Delhi elections. That was, I think, against Yogendra Yadav, who was in that constituency, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Yeah, he was in AAP at that time. But yeah, the election campaign by itself was the amount of money that was flowing.
Yeah. Money, it's not even money is the obvious thing, when it comes to Indian elections. But what I was exposed to was, because you've always heard of this violence, political violence in a way. I'd only read stuff that happens and you associate it with UP, Bihar, and rural areas of those places. But to see that intimidation happen in front of you, or happen to you directly, is something that, I was taken aback. But at the same time, I wanted to get into it more deeply, which is even weird. I'd like to be in a war room and observe how the voting is happening and the actual violence that takes place, the attacks, arson, just things that if I say out loud in public, probably nobody would believe me. And I don't even, I should have just gathered evidence at the time, but I couldn't. Because I was taken out of the constituency overnight because we were told that some external elements, extremist elements have come into the constituency and they're going to create some ruckus on the day and they might just, threaten you. So you just come out. So they took my entire team out of the city, in that early morning, we just left.
Wow.
And next day was the election. So we were taken out and we were taken to Pune, and that from there we were observing what was happening in Ahmednagar. They're right next to each other, but we were observing from there what's happening here, and keeping a tab with all the people, our folks, booth workers, and my God. And then it was very, very first time I think and when you're 21, 22, and you see all of this happening, you're just what is happening here? I think it's 2021 at the time. So it was a very intense experience.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you have water with you?
I do, but I've just had breakfast now, so I drank a lot of water. So I'm just water, juice, everything I had. So
Okay, no problem. For branding purposes, I always
Yeah, I mean, I have water. Don't worry. I mean, Serene asked me to keep water next to.
That's so nice. Manzar also asked Serene to keep water. Actually, with Serene, I forgot कि मुझे पानी का कुछ बोलना है, मैं पूरा भूल गया. तो मुझे उसने खुद ही बोला कि हाँ मंजर ने बताया था कि पानी रखना.
पानी रखना है. You're right.
What's something that you feel you don't like about yourself?
Don't like about myself. Sometimes I do things that I'm not comfortable, which I'm not comfortable to do. So yeah, one of the things I'm trying to learn is how to say no. I've always say yes to things, and I overcommit myself, and sort of like, because I'm always scared that I'll disappoint somebody. But then after a point, you're just like, and then you put yourself on a backseat. So I think that's something I want. That's a habit that I don't like about myself, that I overcommit and I try to deliver it, but at the cost of my my health or my mental health or like my well-being. So yeah, I think that's the thing I don't like.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure you're working on it and you'll get there.
Yeah.
What would your Instagram reel say about you?
My reels? Oh no, it's such a soft boy core thing that I'm trying. But like, you know how you try to be mysterious, but you're not. Like that's my vibe at this point. Like my Instagram reels are just all over the place. I'm not an influencer. I can't be one. And I just try to make things. My Instagram is all about my my regular life. There is actually no filter to a lot of things that I post. So I mean that's what my Instagram is all about. It's out there. Like if you follow me on Instagram, I think 60% of what happens in my life. Of course, there are some secrets that I don't post, but most of my people I feature mostly people I like, people I love to spend time with. Some raw emotions if you have any, and I've gotten much better at not posting everything. But whatever I post is also very close to my heart. So my Instagram is all about that, and my reels are actually slightly more like all over the place. But the soft boy core, trying to be mysterious, but it's not.
Would you choose Thackeray or Modi as your
president? Oh my God, what is this line of questioning?
It's just random bits that I'd written while talking.
I'm very confident that Modi is never going to be my answer. So even if they sort of send ED or like whatever, I don't think. And I think people who know me know very well that if at all in the future I ever write anything appreciative of like our current prime minister, they would know that I'm in danger, because it would take me I just don't get along. It's not just him. I think that entire ideology just makes me very uncomfortable. And when I studied the Shiv Sena, I think Shiv Sena made me super uncomfortable as an organization. And my parents, my family, I would say, were very loyal vote. There's a mixed group, but majority of my family has been a loyal voter base for the Shiv Sena. And but their idea was different. It was not an Islamophobic version of Shiv Sena, because Shiv Sena was an organization that started as a Marathi linguistic pride kind of a thing, right? So Marathi speakers look at Shiv Sena also in that way. So that was the Shiv Sena they promoted. It was not a Shiv Sena of Hindutva. Of course, when it turned to Hindutva, our family was blind that they just decided to support it irrespective of that. Because locally, Shiv Sena still projects itself as a Marathi people's organization, So the Hindutva thing is just people took some time to ingrain in themselves. I personally, at this current point of time, because I would vote for the India Alliance, I would say. I still feel they are the better option out of the two. So, and Thackeray is a part of the Indian Alliance, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, when we voted on 20th May, I wasn't there, but a lot of my school friends, when I posted story, endorsing certain candidates, they were just like, do you realize you wrote things against them 6 years back? And I said, I was critical of them. I was not entirely against them. And I remember I got this one Instagram DM from a college friend, and they said the 2019 Neeraj would come and slap you. But that's the thing. That's where we are in terms of Indian politics. I'm just stunned at this point. But in this time, on 1st June 2024, if you ask me, I would vote for Uddhav Thackeray over Mr. Modi. Yeah.
Sounds good. Is your wall slanted?
Yeah, it's slanted. That's why everything just goes back.
I was trying to figure out ye zoom out.
It's basically I'm on the top floor, and the roof is
But it's just so little. The incline is not huge as
steep.
it would on a roof.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a
No,
little slant.
it's slightly slant. You're right. Yeah, I don't know why that is. But the roof is right above, and I'm in my office. I'm not at home.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
this is your office room.
Yeah, because the workshop space is closer. Like it's right here,
Oh,
5 minutes. So I thought I'd just be here.
okay. No,
And
that's
better camera.
fair enough. Okay, we've come to an end almost. Like I think these are most of the questions that I want to talk about anyway. And obviously we can continue talking for really long, but I'm conscious you have to be somewhere.
There's
Uh,
time. Yeah, we have time, so you can ask.
there's so much that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was left out. Let's see. Um, what's it like to grow in a Marathi household? What does it mean for you?
That's a very good question, actually. I've been reflecting about that for the past couple of years because it's like my parents. I mean, I come from a background which is quite traditional. Traditional in the way that they're religious people, religious folks. I am not. I've sort of again that's a part of my unlearning. I've questioned myself and all of that. But they're very traditional folks who were exposed to a lot of cosmopolitan beliefs and they got accustomed to it, but still try to root themselves in what their what their ideology is or what their belief system is. A lot of it, I give credit to my parents. They've changed themselves over the years. They've become much more open-minded, acknowledged that they were problematic in how they perceived certain, like say for example, the whole idea of looking through a skeptical lens at Muslims, for instance, was something that they unlearned after like years of like believing in something. They're very religious people, but they're not religious propagators, which is why I'm very happy that they don't vote for the right wing. That they are very uncomfortable with how things are working at this point in the country because their religion is a very private matter to them. They're not outright bigots, where they just believe that they're practicing their faith. Others should have the rights to practice their faith. They don't believe in controlling what other people eat or do or drink or whatever. They are very like that's the kind of household I grew up in, which I feel is a very cosmopolitan and a very it's one small part of a larger community, right? I mean, I have actually grown up looking at friends with more conservative beliefs and more liberal beliefs or progressive beliefs. So I feel we are still quite moderate on the spectrum or like center left kind of a spectrum. And we have relatives who are super conservative in their outlook. So they have their own set of things. And I've noticed my family sort of distancing themselves from them. So which says a lot about how they look at themselves as well. I have always stayed away from because as a queer person, it's also difficult to fit into what they want. I've just tried to distance myself from all of this. It's been a very unlearning, relearning kind of again a very conflicting experience. But yeah, I mean, I'm rooted in my language in a way. Like I credit my father for that personally. He's someone who's always pushed me to. I still think in Marathi. Whether I speak in English or not, whether I speak Marathi or not is a different story. But I still think in Marathi, so I think I'm still rooted in how things work back home. Probably, yeah.
Do you dream in Marathi?
I don't actually. I think I've realized I don't know to be honest but then my friends who like we had recently had a sleepover and like my friends told me that I speak English. So I'm pretty sure like I sleep talk sometimes in English. So I'm pretty sure I don't dream in Marathi necessarily. I dream in multilingual aspects. Yeah.
What would you say is the most difficult bit for you living away from home?
Home?
Yeah. I mean, not Delhi. When you come to the UK, or when you stay in the UK now, what's the most difficult thing for you?
I don't know. See, honestly, like I love my life. Like I moved out at the age of 17. So I was not used to living with my family during the formative years of when you're entering adulthood or like when you're figuring stuff out. And I used to only go back for summer vacations for a month or two. And that went way past faster. So I'm not used to that lifestyle, the way they function. So there are not many things that I do miss my parents, like living with my parents, but it's a very momentary thing. I don't know whether it happens to you, but I think there's a expiration period of say 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later, even they are like, what are you doing? We're like, to ja bhai, you just like ruin the discipline of the house because you'll do whatever you want and you move in and out of the house. But like when you're at home, you have to tell them, you don't have to take you don't have to take permission, but you at least have to inform them. And I'm not used to like those restrictions anymore. So I do miss the food. Might sound super cliche, but I do miss like a good fish curry or like fish cuisine. I'm not very happy with the fish we get here. So, seafood cuisine is something I miss from home. And my parents have always been always been hands off, to be honest. Like they were really good parents until when I, during the formative years when you learn stuff. But then after that, once they realized we can take our own decisions, they've just been hands off. I've never been pressured into doing anything in terms of career. So, I never did engineering. They never forced me for anything. I told them at like when I was 14, I think, that I want to study history. And they were just like, yeah, please do whatever you want. Just take the right call. Yeah, of course, they hint you, okay, UPSC try kar sakte ho. Not interested at all. But like, yeah, there are people who are open-minded and want to learn things. And I'm just happy to share that with them.
That sounds excellent.
And also, like, I don't know whether you go through this, but after a point, and this is what Serene actually made me much more sensitive about, is you also become aware that they are also getting older and they are also sort of living, like, this is also their first time, right? I'm the eldest child on both sides of the family. So for everybody, I'm like the project. What Kanan Gill calls the project.
Yeah.
And Serene also made me sensitive to also think about them, like from their lens. I'm also the first child, so I give them that benefit of the doubt. It's fine. Like, I'm not a rebellious kid, but I also am not the traditionally bolne wala kid. So yeah, they've been nice. And they're growing old, so you have to be sensitive to that as well.
Yeah, we had this conversation with Serene.
Yeah, I mean, she made me much more sensitive about these issues with my family, especially because I see how she looks at her parents and how she looks after them and the care that she believes in. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm not exposed. Luckily, my parents have been like they take care of themselves, so they are not in that state. But I know that at some point I'd have to, weigh in, check on them. Like, we talk once a week, but that's a very long call. So I do that. And I think I've learned a lot from Serene in that space, for sure. Yeah.
I'm going to send this to my mother and tell her कि सीखो कुछ ये हफ्ते में एक बार बात करता है. My mother wants me to call every day.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm the younger one, so I'm the more loved.
Okay.
But she wants me to call every day and not talk for long. Just say, हाँ, मैं उठ गया, सोने जा रहा हूँ, whatever.
मैं खाना खाया. No. I have actually stayed, like, I've never put them into that habit when I moved to undergrad also, I never called them every day. Because they're on WhatsApp and they just chat there. But like, we call once a week, but that once a week is a long call. And when I say
which is what I like. कि हाँ, अगर बात करनी
4 hours.
उनसे बात करो. Wow, 4 hours.
Believe me, like when I say long, it's long. It's not an hour-long call. It goes on. Like, my mom wants me to cook when I'm like talking to her, and then she'll ask and she'll give suggestions, she'll criticize. She wants all my news about what I did on a Monday. Like, she knows about this podcast. Like, she knows, and she'll like drop me a text later in the evening or tomorrow when we call. Like, she'll ask, "What did you talk about on the podcast?" And I recorded a podcast last year with this other collective in Mumbai. And she listened to it. It was a very long podcast. She listened to all of it and she made notes and then she criticized me about aise kyun nahi bola. And like, I'm very sure like if you put it out online, she's going to listen to it. Yeah, they put in the time.
So, I look forward to her comment.
नहीं she's like, तुम लोगों को कुछ काम नहीं है कि तुम लोगों को ये बातें करने के लिए इतना दूर भेजा है माँ बाप ने. That will be her first comment. She's like, what is the purpose?
Well, that is the point. There's no point.
That's why when you started and you said, I'm just trying, I love talking to people, and my mom will be like, isko mila de humse.
4 घंटे तो मैं नहीं बात कर सकता.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea, but if it ever goes online, I don't know what we are going to see. I don't know how you're going to edit it or how you're going to put it out.
I don't think there's much edit into it. I want to keep it as raw as possible. I'll just do some intro bits and stuff. Somewhere where you feel like you want to cut out something that you said and don't feel as comfortable.
They'll read all of that later. So whenever you get into it. So, I don't actually mind. I'm very conscious when I speak. It's just fumbling stuff is something I'd ask you to take out.
chalega. Matlab, as long as you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It's a part of who you are.
That's true.
Coming to the recommendation. So as I said, the format is that you recommend the next person to me.
Yeah.
Whoever you think would make a great conversation. So do you have someone in mind?
I actually wanted to recommend a friend, a common friend with like, I think you'll be in the circle only, but like Serene
I
also.
want
I
to
asked
get
her,
out of this circle.
I will try. Okay, I can give you two recommendations, but my one recommendation is verified and has said yes to this. The other
Okay.
one has still not responded to my text, so I don't know. But I can give you two or one, or whoever you want. If you want to step out of the circle, you won't be completely out, but you'll be slightly out. But otherwise, the one that I'm going to give you right now is very much in the circle. But is I think you'd have, and she can help you get out of it.
Okay, Neeraj, this is where
Yeah.
we're at the end, but thank you so
Okay.
much for your time.
No problem. I hope you got something interesting.
Yeah, no, of course, it was a wonderful conversation. I look forward to. Actually, I have to come. You're in Oxford now. No?
Yeah. Come to Oxford.
I have to. I have to. I've been postponing
Have you
it
been
for too
before?
long. I've been a couple of times, but it's been a while, and I have a few friends who stay there. I've been meaning to visit them for a while. I'll
Yeah,
definitely come.
come. I mean, we're happy to host you at Somerville at some point. And
Yeah.
summer too is quite open, so we can go punting and stuff too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been punting yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No.
I won't do the punting especially if it's your first time. So I'm still learning.
That's
but,
right. So then,
I have friends who could do it, like who can help us out. So that's not
Sure.
a problem. So, but Tana, next time when you're in Oxford, happy to take you around, show you around.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll hit you up.